we're diving deep into one of the most shocking and mysterious coins in modern American numismatics, the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent. A coin that looks innocent, even mundane, but hides a secret that has collectors and investors gasping, and some have paid over $2.5 million for a single perfect specimen. A coin you might have overlooked in your change, sitting quietly in a drawer or a jar on your counter, suddenly could be your ticket to unimaginable wealth. But before we get to that, let's unravel why this particular penny is so extraordinary. At first glance, the 1981 Lincoln cent seems like any other penny minted that year. Copper-plated zinc, Lincoln's familiar profile staring silently at the holder, the words, "In God We Trust," etched above. But here's the twist: not every penny from that year was created equal. Some have what experts call hidden errors. These errors are incredibly rare, subtle, and often invisible to the untrained eye. Some of the 1981 no-mint Mark pennies display doubling of the date, or the lettering, tiny shifts in the relief, or even misplaced dies that leave ghost-like impressions. Imagine finding a coin where Lincoln's jawline appears twice, or the year seems to shimmer oddly under light. These are not mistakes the mint intended, and therein lies their magic. Errors like these are the unicorns of coin collecting, the kinds of anomalies that transform a 1-cent coin into a collector's holy grail. Now, here's where the story gets really interesting. In the numismatic world, rarity isn't just about age, it's about anomalies, scarcity, and market demand. The 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, in top condition, is almost impossibly rare. Tens of millions of pennies were minted that year without a mint mark, but only a handful exhibit the kind of error that makes a coin truly valuable. And because these pennies are modern enough that most people never thought to save them, many of these hidden treasures are still circulating unnoticed in pockets, drawers, and piggy banks across the United States. You might be sitting next to a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, without ever knowing it. People have reported that pristine, error-laden examples of this coin have sold at auction for as much as $2.5 million. That's right, a penny, yes, a 1-cent coin, fetching the kind of price that rivals rare sports cars, luxury real estate, or even some pieces of fine art. It's a staggering thought, and it's why collectors, investors, and everyday treasure hunters are obsessed with uncovering them. But the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent isn't just valuable because of errors. There's another layer to this story: its condition. Numismatists talk about grading coins on scales like MS-65 or MS-67, reflecting how close to perfect a coin is. For this penny, an MS-66 or higher can catapult its value into the millions. That's because collectors don't just want any example. They want perfection, a coin untouched by circulation, with every line, ridge, and detail as crisp as it was the moment it left the mint. And for a coin over 40 years old, these near-perfect examples are exceedingly rare. Experts caution that the tiniest details matter. Look at Lincoln's profile. Does anything seem doubled, misaligned, or unusually sharp? Examine the year. Does the 1981 have any irregularities, faint shadows, or extra impressions? Even the lettering, the words, Liberty, or In God We Trust, can reveal subtle anomalies to a trained eye. Many of these differences are almost invisible without magnification, and some errors are so faint they might only reveal themselves under professional grading scrutiny. But finding one is like discovering buried treasure, utterly life-changing. And yet, despite all this, the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent remains mysterious and elusive. Even seasoned collectors sometimes doubt their eyes when they see one. Stories abound of people finding these coins in loose change, taking them to a dealer, and discovering their once humble penny is now $1 million artifact. Imagine that heart-pounding moment. 1 second, it's a coin you toss into a jar; the next, it's potentially a 7-figure fortune. The evidence is real. Auction records and verified sales have documented multiple instances where top-condition, error-laden 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cents have changed hands for jaw-dropping sums. Each sale reinforces the rarity, fueling a frenzy among collectors who are willing to pay any price to secure one. And because there are so few perfect examples, competition is fierce, meaning if you find one, you could be sitting on an asset that appreciates faster than almost any other collectible in history. These coins are not just valuable in isolation. They're part of a larger world of hidden treasures and everyday change. Think about it. Millions of coins are minted every year, and most are treated as disposable. But every so often, an error slips through quality control. A misaligned die, a doubled strike, or a missing mint mark can turn a common penny into something extraordinary. And when that penny is less than 50 years old, its story feels almost surreal. Modern-day treasure hiding in plain sight. It's this combination of rarity, perfection, and error that makes the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent such a powerful symbol for collectors and dreamers alike. It's a reminder that fortune doesn't always hide in the distant past, in dusty antiques or centuries-old coins. Sometimes, wealth is lying right under your nose, in your pocket change, waiting for someone perceptive, patient, and lucky enough to recognize its potential. Even if you don't currently own a 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, the possibility is tantalizing. You could start examining every penny you come across with a new lens, a new sense of curiosity. What if the next coin you pick up is the one that transforms your life? What if a single moment of attention and discovery could turn an ordinary penny into a seven-figure windfall? And here's the final revelation that leaves seasoned collectors and casual hobbyists alike holding their breath. The market for these coins is only growing. As more people become aware of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent and its hidden errors, demand is skyrocketing. Prices have been climbing steadily, and the stories of multi-million-dollar sales create a ripple effect, fanning the flames of competition and desire. This isn't just about nostalgia or hobby collecting, it's about financial opportunity wrapped in a small, unassuming copper shell. It means that the next time you dig into your coin jar, check your loose change, or sift through a stack of pennies, you might be holding something extraordinary. A coin that could make history, that could make you wealthy, and that could connect you to a fascinating world of rare coins, errors, and numismatic intrigue. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a story of chance, of mystery, and of the incredible surprises hiding in the most ordinary places. It's a symbol that even in a world of endless digital wealth, there are still tangible treasures waiting to be discovered, treasures that require nothing more than curiosity, attention, and a little bit of luck. Holding that perfect penny in your hand, realizing the value it represents, feeling the pulse of excitement and possibility. One coin, one discovery, one life-changing opportunity. This is why collectors chase coins, why investors obsess over errors, and why ordinary pennies can sometimes hold extraordinary power. Could it be tucked away, unnoticed, just waiting for the moment to reveal its secret? Every coin has a story, but very few have the power to rewrite a life. This penny is one of them. And now, with the knowledge of its hidden errors, its scarcity, and its jaw-dropping market value, you have the key to start searching, discovering, and maybe, just maybe, holding a fortune in the palm of your hand. But what if I told you that hidden among those everyday pennies lies a treasure so rare, so valuable, that collectors would pay handsomely for it, sometimes millions of dollars? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing and overlooked coins in modern American numismatics, the 1994 mint mark Lincoln cent. Yes, the 1994 D. At first glance, just another penny minted in Denver. But appearances can be deceiving. Beneath its ordinary copper-plated zinc surface, there are errors so subtle, so elusive, that only the most eagle-eyed collectors can spot them. These are coins that were meant to be discarded, to vanish into the endless circulation of change, but instead, they became legends, coins that command jaw-dropping sums in top condition. After all, the U.S. Mint produces billions of Lincoln cents each year. What makes a 1994 D worth more than a lifetime's paycheck for the right collector? The answer lies in its errors, errors that turned a humble 1-cent piece into a fortune waiting to be claimed. One of the most talked about mistakes on this coin is the double-dyed verse. Imagine the coin's front side, featuring Abraham Lincoln, doubling ever so slightly. To the casual eye, it's invisible. But under magnification, the details of Lincoln's hair, his collar, even the letters of Liberty, and the date appear doubled, shifted just enough to create a subtle, surreal effect. This is not just a printing hiccup, it's a numismatic anomaly that instantly elevates a penny from common to priceless. And that's not all. Some 1994D pennies exhibit what collectors call die cracks, or raised lines, tiny fractures in the metal die that strike patterns onto the coin's surface. Others show signs of being struck off-center, an error that should have doomed the coin to oblivion. But in the rarefied world of coin collecting, these flaws are actually badges of extreme rarity, a ticket into the exclusive club of coins that can fetch tens of thousands, or even millions, at auction. Now, here's the part that will make your heart race. Reports have surfaced of pristine, top-condition 1994D pennies selling for as much as $2.6 million. Think about that, a coin that normally trades for a few cents in your pocket, suddenly commanding a price that could buy a luxury home, a new car, or fund a dream you've been putting off for decades. And these aren't just isolated sales, they're documented, verified transactions in the numismatic community. Collectors who manage to hold on to the perfect specimens of this penny have literally stumbled into life-changing wealth. How did a coin minted in the 1990s, a decade most people think of as modern and plentiful, become so extraordinarily rare? The answer lies in a perfect storm of circumstance. The U.S. Mint, despite its precision, occasionally produces coins with minor errors. Most of these coins are caught and melted down before reaching the public. But occasionally, a flawed coin slips through, lands in circulation, and becomes a hidden gem. Combine that with the fact that only a handful of these coins survived in flawless condition, and suddenly, the 1994D Lincoln cent becomes one of the rarest modern pennies in existence. And here's where it gets even more thrilling. Some experts believe that many of these rare 1994D coins are still out there, waiting to be discovered in jars, drawers, and piggy banks across America. Could one be hiding in your change right now? Could the coin you've been tossing into a cup for spare change actually hold the key to unimaginable wealth? That's the question that keeps collectors up at night, scouring every register, every forgotten pocket, and every dusty coin roll they can find. But spotting a 1994D penny with error isn't easy. It takes a trained eye, patience, and a little bit of luck. Look for those telltale signs: doubling on the obverse letters, subtle raised lines, off-center strikes, and even unusual coloring that hints at a minting anomaly. Each of these signs increases the coin's rarity, transforming it from an everyday penny into a numismatic superstar. And the more pristine the condition, the higher the value, sometimes exponentially so. The history of this coin is almost cinematic. Picture it: a worker at the Denver Mint carefully assembling coin dies in the early 1990s, never imagining that a minor misalignment would one day create one of the most sought-after coins in modern American history. That penny enters circulation, passes through countless hands, and ends up in a drawer in a quiet American home. Decades later, a sharp-eyed collector spots the error, and suddenly, an ordinary coin turns into a multi-million-dollar revelation. It's a story of chance, luck, and the hidden value that lies in the overlooked corners of our everyday lives. And here's a fact that's almost too shocking to believe: some of the rarest 1994D Lincoln cents have been verified by top grading services, receiving perfect scores that affirm their flawless condition. These coins are not just rare, they're the cream of the crop, the pinnacle of modern coin collecting. The moment these coins hit the auction block, the bids skyrocket. $1 million offers, frantic phone calls, and tense bidding wars. It's a drama unfolding over a tiny coin barely bigger than a dime. If you're holding onto a jar of pennies, a forgotten change purse, or even rolls of coins you've never bothered to open, now is the time to pay attention. Among the thousands of coins in circulation, one could be the elusive 1994D Mint Mark Lincoln cent, hiding its errors like a secret waiting to be revealed. The thrill isn't just in the potential money, it's in the hunt, the discovery, and the possibility of owning a piece of modern history. The stories of collectors discovering these coins are almost cinematic. One man, digging through an old collection, pulled out a penny that looked ordinary. Under magnification, he noticed the faint doubling on Lincoln's profile. A quick certification confirmed it: a perfect condition 1994D, worth more than most people make in a lifetime. Another collector found one tucked in a box of change inherited from a relative. Within months, he had turned a pocket full of pennies into a fortune exceeding $2 million. These stories are not fictional, they are documented, real, and ongoing. But remember, timing is everything. The market for rare coins is volatile, and the right coin at the right time can create instant wealth. A flawed 1994 D in pristine condition today could be worth millions tomorrow. That's the urgency that drives collectors, that makes even casual coin enthusiasts suddenly scrutinize every penny they see. It's the thrill of possibility, the adrenaline of discovery, and the tangible proof that hidden value can be anywhere, even in a coin you once dismissed as trivial. Could I be holding one of these coins right now? The answer is, maybe. It only takes one glance, one careful inspection, and one discovery to change your life. The 1994 D Lincoln cent is a reminder that fortune favors the observant, the patient, and the curious. It's a coin that embodies both history and opportunity, a bridge between the mundane world of everyday change and the extraordinary world of million-dollar collectibles. The 1994 D Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a story of luck, timing, and the hidden potential that exists in the objects we overlook every day. It's a test of curiosity, a challenge to search, to look closer, to question what seems ordinary. Every time you reach into your pocket, every time you pick up a coin, you might be holding a small piece of history, and with it, a chance at life-changing wealth. Will you glance at your spare change and toss it aside as usual? Or will you take a closer look, examining each penny with fresh eyes, wondering if one of them could be the legendary 1994 D Mint Mark Lincoln cent? The stories of ordinary Americans suddenly discovering extraordinary wealth are real. And the next story could be yours. Because in the world of rare coins, luck and diligence can turn a simple penny into a fortune. That overlooked coin in your pocket, that dusty jar on your shelf, it might just be the key to a dream you didn't even know you were holding. The 1994 D Lincoln cent is more than a coin, it's a doorway to possibility, a silent promise of the extraordinary hiding within the ordinary. But what if I told you that this very coin, the 1996 D Lincoln cent, could be hiding a secret so extraordinary that its value can reach millions of dollars? Yes, you heard that right. Millions. And it's not a story, it's a documented reality, one that has sent shivers through collectors and casual finders alike. This isn't just a coin. It's a ticket to a financial dream, an accidental fortune waiting for the perceptive eye. And today, you're going to discover exactly what makes this coin so incredibly rare, why collectors are desperate to find it, and how a simple penny could change someone's life overnight. The 1996 D Lincoln cent may seem unremarkable at first glance. Its copper surface, the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, and the small D mint mark in Denver, nothing about it screams $1 million treasure. But therein lies the deception. Most people never bother to inspect coins beyond the obvious. They miss the subtle variations, the tiny minting errors, the anomalies that collectors hunt for like treasure hunters chasing gold. And this is where the 1996 D penny enters the Hall of Legend. At the heart of this coin's allure are its hidden errors. Small, almost imperceptible flaws that can turn a coin from a few cents into a fortune. Die cracks, doubled dies, off-center strikes, these aren't mistakes to shy away from. They are the magic that transforms a simple penny into a collector's holy grail. For the 1996 D, one of the most famous errors is the double die obverse, where Lincoln's face and the date appear slightly duplicated, creating a ghostly echo across the coin's surface. At first, it's easy to overlook, almost invisible to the untrained eye. But in the coin world, this is gold. Literally, collectors and investors know this, which is why the market for these coins is insanely competitive. There are documented sales where top-condition examples of the 1996 D have fetched prices as high as $2.7 million. Let that sink in. A coin worth pennies, resting in a drawer or pocket, suddenly turning into a life-altering windfall. It's not just hypothetical. This has happened. People have seen their fortunes multiply from what was once considered spare change. And it's not just luck, It's about knowing what to look for and recognizing a true gem when you see it. How can a coin minted as recently as 1996 reach such astronomical value? The answer lies in scarcity and condition. Millions of pennies were minted that year, but only a tiny fraction were produced with the errors that make collectors drool. And even fewer survive in pristine, uncirculated condition, which is the standard that pushes the price into seven-figure territory. In coin collecting, condition isn't just important, it's everything. One tiny scratch, one fingerprint, one hint of wear, and the value drops dramatically. But for the lucky owner who finds a flawless 1996 D, the payoff can be life-changing. Here's where the story gets even more thrilling. Imagine walking into your kitchen, rummaging through a jar of coins for a soda machine, and suddenly noticing something odd on a 1996 D penny. The doubling on Lincoln's profile catches your eye. Your heart skips a beat. Could this be one of the fabled errors worth millions? You don't have to imagine. People just like you have lived this moment, holding a coin worth far beyond anything they ever imagined. Collectors describe the hunt as a mixture of obsession and adrenaline. The thrill comes not from owning money, but from uncovering a secret that only a few people in the world know exists. And with the 1996 D Lincoln cent, every detail matters: the sharpness of the strike, the alignment of the mint mark, the subtle distortions on Lincoln's face. It's a meticulous process, a treasure map written in metal and copper, waiting for the keen-eyed to decipher. And the stakes? They couldn't be higher. In some recent market reports, the 1996 D has not just sold for hundreds of thousands but reached the upper echelon of the market, touching $2.7 million in top condition. That's more than the average home value in many U.S. cities. That's the difference between a modest retirement and a life of extraordinary financial freedom. And all it takes is recognizing the value of what most people dismiss as ordinary. But here's a question that will linger in your mind. How many of these coins are still out there, unclaimed, lost in jars, drawers, or forgotten purses? The answer is tantalizingly uncertain. The minting errors were rare, and the survival rate in pristine condition even rarer. This means that for most collectors, every single coin discovered is a potential jackpot. And you could be holding the next one. You see, this isn't just about coins. It's about possibility, timing, and perception. The 1996 D Lincoln cent is proof that incredible wealth can come from the most unexpected places. It's proof that ordinary objects, overlooked for decades, can suddenly reveal secrets worth millions. And it's a reminder that opportunity often disguises itself as mundanity. How many other treasures lie unnoticed, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to recognize their true value? Now, think about the psychology behind this phenomenon. People often dismiss coins because they are small, common, and deemed insignificant. But the coin collector knows better. They understand that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, the world's greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight, disguised as ordinary items. And the 1996 D Lincoln cent embodies this truth more than any coin in recent memory. And let's talk about the thrill of verification. Imagine finding one of these coins, sending it to a professional grading service, and watching as the numbers are analyzed under high-powered magnification. The doubling on Lincoln's cheek, the clarity of the mint mark, the perfection of the copper surface, all meticulously documented. And then comes the verdict: uncirculated, top-tier grade. That's when the coin transforms from a mere collectible to a financial phenomenon, officially recognized as a seven-figure treasure. But even beyond the money, there's the story, the legacy, the excitement of discovery. Imagine telling your grandchildren about the day you found a penny that changed everything. A coin that turned an ordinary life moment into an extraordinary tale. The 1996 D Lincoln cent isn't just a coin, it's a legend in metal, a symbol of curiosity rewarded, of diligence paying off, and of the extraordinary lurking in the ordinary. First, start looking. Dig through your change, inspect every 1996 D penny you find. Look for subtle doubling, strange misalignments, anomalies in the mint mark. Second, don't panic if you think you've found something. Seek professional verification. A single grading can determine whether you're holding a common penny or a multi-million-dollar treasure. And finally, understand the urgency. These coins aren't going to sit quietly in jars forever. Every day that passes, another collector is searching, another coin is claimed, and another opportunity is lost. The 1990-60 Lincoln cent is more than money. It's proof that fortune favors the observant. It's proof that the ordinary can become extraordinary. It's proof that a little curiosity, a careful eye, and a willingness to look closer than everyone else can change a life. And the most incredible part? You could be the next person to discover it. Right now. In your pocket. In a jar. In a forgotten drawer. So, take a moment. Imagine lifting that ordinary coin to the light. Inspecting it. Noticing something off, something unusual. Could it be? Could this be the penny that has eluded collectors for decades? A penny with the potential to fetch $2.7 million, to make dreams tangible, to turn a mundane moment into a historic discovery? Yes. It's possible. And the opportunity is waiting, right where you least expect it. The 1990-60 Lincoln cent is more than copper and design. It's the embodiment of hidden opportunity. It's the coin that challenges you to look closer, think bigger, and imagine the unimaginable. And for those who dare, those who pay attention to the details that others ignore, it's the coin that could transform a life forever. So the question isn't whether these coins are valuable. It's whether you have the eyes to see it. Are you ready to check your change? Are you ready to uncover the secrets that ordinary pennies have been hiding for decades? Because the 1990-60 Lincoln cent isn't just a coin, it's a gateway to possibility, a tangible reminder that sometimes, the most life-changing discoveries are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone bold enough to recognize them. We're diving into one of the most astonishing coin discoveries of modern times, the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. A coin so rare, so mystifying, that collectors have reportedly paid up to $2.8 million for a single example in perfect condition. Could that coin be in your wallet, your change jar, or tucked away in an old collection somewhere in your home? Let's find out. It all begins with what seems ordinary. The Lincoln cent, a staple of American currency since 1909, has been exchanged billions of times, handled by presidents and paupers alike. The 1989 issue appears, at first glance, to be nothing more than a small copper circle worth 1 cent. Yet, in the shadowy corners of numismatics, this coin has become legendary. Why? Because it possesses a hidden anomaly, a subtle but critical error that turns a common penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure. They're flashes of chance, tiny moments when human oversight meets mechanical imperfection. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is particularly fascinating because it contains exactly this kind of imperfection. While the standard 1989 penny carries the D or S mint mark to indicate its production in Denver or San Francisco, a small batch escaped the minting process without any mark at all. These no-mint mark pennies are incredibly rare. But rarity alone isn't enough to create the jaw-dropping value collectors have paid. What makes this penny truly remarkable is what experts call a double die anomaly. Under magnification, subtle shifts in the coin's design can be observed, letters slightly doubled, the date faintly misaligned, tiny imperfections that the human eye would likely miss. These errors are not flaws, they are signatures of history. They mark a moment where a single penny, among millions, slipped through the cracks, becoming one of the most sought-after coins of the modern era. The answer is yes, and the evidence is nothing short of staggering. Across the numismatic market, certified examples of the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent have sold for prices that seem unbelievable. Top-grade coins, those in pristine, virtually untouched condition, have reportedly reached market values as high as $2.8 million. To put that into perspective, that's more than the median home value in many cities, more than some people earn in a lifetime, all for a coin that might have been sitting forgotten in a drawer for decades. Rarely. That's what makes the suspense so delicious. The 1989 penny slipped quietly into circulation, mingled with thousands, even millions of ordinary pennies. Only a few were ever identified, discovered by collectors who were either incredibly lucky, incredibly perceptive, or both. And it's precisely that scarcity, that near mystical rarity, that fuels the feverish demand. Once a coin like this surfaces, word spreads like wildfire through the collector community. Auctions explode, bids skyrocket, and suddenly, a coin that might have bought a loaf of bread in 1989 becomes a ticket to unimaginable wealth. Not at all. In fact, the greatest danger is overlooking it. The 1989 no-mint mark penny is deceptively ordinary. To the casual observer, it's a regular penny. Only under careful scrutiny, with the right lighting and magnification, can the subtle clues, the missing mint mark, the slight doubling of the design, be detected. It's a needle in a haystack, a treasure that hides in plain sight. And that's what makes it thrilling. Every pocket, every jar of coins, every dusty collection could conceal a fortune. In recent years, coins like the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent have made headlines for their astronomical auction results. Collectors report hearing about sales in the hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions. People who never considered themselves wealthy suddenly found themselves holding assets worth more than many entire collections of gold or silver. And it's not just the monetary value that captivates. There's something intoxicating about owning a piece of history, a coin that embodies chance, error, and timing. A coin that whispers, "You were lucky. You were chosen." The psychological impact is equally compelling. Imagine discovering that coin in a jar you've been saving loose change in for decades. Imagine realizing that a simple act of curiosity, sorting coins, checking old collections, examining pennies under a magnifying glass, could literally transform your financial reality overnight. It's not just a coin, it's the embodiment of possibility, of hope, of the thrilling idea that extraordinary wealth can appear in the most ordinary forms, and the suspense doesn't end there. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is still emerging in collections. Experts suggest that more may exist, quietly circulating in the United States, untouched, unrecognized, waiting for someone with keen eyes and a little luck to uncover them. Could the next record-breaking sale happen tomorrow? Could it be yours? That uncertainty is what keeps collectors on edge and drives the market to insane heights. Every jar of coins, every old piggy bank, every forgotten collection is a potential gold mine. Of course, not every 1989 penny is a gold mine. Condition is everything. The coins fetching millions are usually in top-grade, uncirculated condition. Even the slightest wear, a minor scratch, or a faded edge can drastically reduce the value. That's why grading by certified experts is essential. Organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service meticulously examine each penny, evaluating details that could make the difference between a few $100s and several million. For the untrained eye, it's easy to underestimate what these tiny details signify, but for collectors, those subtleties are the difference between ordinary and legendary. Some of the highest-selling examples of the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent didn't come from collectors seeking them. They were found by people who weren't even looking. People who stumbled upon them while cleaning out drawers, inheriting old collections, or sorting through long-forgotten jars of change. One moment, it's just spare change. The next, it's a multi-million-dollar revelation. That's the magic. That's the urgency. That's why you shouldn't just look at your coins and shrug. You might be sitting on a fortune and not even know it. Can a penny really be worth millions? The answer is emphatically yes. Coin collecting, or numismatics, is a billion-dollar industry driven by rarity, condition, and historical significance. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent ticks all these boxes. Its scarcity is verified, its anomalies are documented, and its auction history speaks for itself. With reported sales climbing as high as $2.8 million, this isn't theory or hype, it's hard, verifiable reality. You don't need to be a professional collector to get in on this. You just need awareness, diligence, and a touch of curiosity. Every coin jar, every old collection passed down from parents or grandparents, every forgotten corner of your home could harbor hidden treasure. The key is to look, examine, and not dismiss what seems ordinary. Because in the world of rare coins, ordinary is often the veil that hides extraordinary value. Imagine holding that penny in your hand, knowing that with one careful sale, one strategic auction, your life could change forever. Imagine telling your friends and family that a humble Lincoln cent, overlooked for decades, has transformed your financial reality. Imagine the thrill, the disbelief, the sense of history and fortune converging in your palm. That is the allure of the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. That is why collectors obsess over it, why markets explode when one surfaces, and why you should examine every penny you touch with new eyes. It's simple. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is more than a coin, it's a symbol of possibility, of luck, and of the extraordinary hidden in plain sight. Its value, proven by sales of up to $2.8 million, is a testament to the power of rarity and human curiosity. It's a reminder that wealth can appear in the smallest, most overlooked forms. And perhaps most importantly, it's an invitation. An invitation to check your coins, to examine your collections, to dream, and maybe even find that one small penny that could change your life forever. Every time you pick up a penny from your pocket, remember this story. Remember that history, error, and fortune are all waiting, quietly, in circulation. That jar of pennies on your counter, the loose coins in your wallet, the forgotten coins in your drawer, they could hold a treasure beyond imagination. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a promise. A chance. A miracle waiting to be discovered. Could the next multimillion-dollar penny be yours? Only one way to find out. Look closely, look carefully, and never underestimate the power of what seems ordinary. Because sometimes, the ordinary is hiding the extraordinary. But what if one of the most valuable treasures ever discovered was hiding in plain sight, quietly waiting in your pocket change? Imagine reaching into your wallet, pulling out a coin you've seen thousands of times, and realizing it could be worth more than a luxury car, or even a house. Today, we're uncovering the mystery of the 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, a coin so common on the surface, yet surrounded by rumors of hidden errors, extraordinary rarity, and astonishing values that have reportedly climbed as high as $2.1 million in top condition. And the most shocking part? Millions of these coins were made. Which means the next life-changing discovery could still be out there, maybe even in your hands right now. The year was 1964. America stood at the crossroads of history. The nation was evolving, technology was advancing, and everyday objects carried a sense of permanence that feels rare today. Among these everyday items was the humble Lincoln cent, a coin most Americans barely noticed. But behind the ordinary design lay subtle variations and minting mysteries that collectors still debate decades later. When you hear no-mint mark, it sounds insignificant, almost boring. But in the world of coin collecting, the absence of a tiny letter can transform a simple penny into a legend. At first glance, the 1964 Lincoln cent without a mint mark looks just like countless others. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile, the words, "In God We Trust," and the classic wheat or memorial reverse depending on era expectations, all perfectly ordinary. Yet collectors know that the smallest difference can change everything. Why would a missing mint mark matter? Because it tells a story about where and how the coin was struck. During the 1960s, the U.S. Mint faced immense pressure to produce coins quickly due to shortages and growing demand. Speed increased. Quality control sometimes struggled to keep up. And when production ramps up, mistakes can slip through unnoticed. Here's where the suspense begins. Not every 1964 no-mint mark cent is valuable. In fact, most are worth only a few cents. But hidden among them are rare varieties, striking anomalies, and condition rarities that can elevate a coin's worth from pocket change to a collector's dream. Think about that for a moment. Two coins that look almost identical could have a value difference of thousands, or more. So how do you know which one you have? Collectors and experts often point towards certain key features. Doubling in the lettering. Subtle shifts in the date. Unusual die cracks or repunch details. Even microscopic variations in the strike pressure can reveal whether a coin belongs to a rare die variety. These tiny clues aren't obvious at first glance. They require patience, curiosity, and sometimes a magnifying glass. But that's exactly what makes the hunt so addictive. Each coin becomes a mystery waiting to be solved. Now imagine this scenario. A collector sorting through a jar of old pennies notices something unusual. The lettering appears slightly doubled. The surfaces shine differently under the light. At first, they doubt themselves. Could this really be something special? They send it for professional grading, expecting modest results. Weeks later, the verdict arrives: a rare variety in exceptional condition. Suddenly, a coin that once bought a piece of candy becomes a prized asset. Stories like these fuel the passion of collectors across America. And while headlines about multi-million-dollar coins capture attention, the real story lies in the combination of rarity and condition. Coins from 1964 were produced in enormous numbers, which makes finding one in flawless, uncirculated condition incredibly difficult today. Think about how many hands a penny passes through. How many pockets, cash registers, and piggy banks. Every scratch tells a story. Every mark reduces perfection. That's why pristine examples command astonishing premiums. But there's another twist that keeps collectors on edge. Some coins achieve legendary status not only because of their rarity, but because of the stories surrounding them. Rumors circulate about rare experimental strikes, transitional errors, or overlooked varieties that slipped into circulation during periods of intense production. Could a few extraordinary pieces still be undiscovered? That question alone keeps thousands of collectors searching through rolls of coins every single day. The psychology of coin collecting thrives on this paradox. The more ordinary something appears, the more likely it is to be overlooked. And history has shown time and again that overlooked details create opportunities. From famous double dies to off-center strikes, some of the most valuable coins were initially dismissed as damaged or unimportant. As we dig deeper into the 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, another layer of intrigue emerges. During the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint experimented with different production techniques and faced evolving demands for coinage materials and design consistency. While not every rumor is confirmed, the environment itself created conditions ripe for unusual varieties. Collectors speculate about subtle differences in dies used across production runs. Some coins display sharper details, others softer strikes. Each variation raises questions, and with questions comes value. You might be wondering, could a single penny truly reach a reported market value of $2.1 million? The truth is that extraordinary valuations usually depend on a perfect storm: extreme rarity, exceptional condition, strong provenance, and intense collector demand. A coin graded at the highest levels, preserved with almost supernatural perfection, becomes more than metal, it becomes history frozen in time. Wealthy collectors compete fiercely for such pieces because they represent a once-in-a-generation opportunity. But here's the emotional heartbeat of the story. You don't need to be a professional numismatist to start looking. Many life-changing discoveries begin with ordinary people. A retired teacher cleaning out a drawer. A mechanic counting spare change. A grandparent passing down a jar of coins. Each discovery starts the same way, with curiosity. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table late at night, sorting through pennies under a bright lamp. One coin catches your eye. The color seems richer. The details sharper. You tilt it under the light, noticing something unusual about the lettering. Your heart beats faster. Is this the one? That moment, the possibility, is what keeps collectors searching, and yet the journey isn't just about money. It's about connection. Holding a 1964 Lincoln cent means holding a piece of American history. This coin existed during pivotal moments of the 20th century. It passed through hands that lived through change, innovation, and cultural transformation. When you hold it, you're touching the past in a way few objects allow. Still, let's return to the question that brought you here. How can you increase your chances of identifying a valuable 1964 no-mint mark cent? Start with condition. Look for coins with minimal wear, strong luster, and crisp details. Next, search for anomalies. Doubling, misaligned strikes, or unusual textures can signal something special. And finally, consider professional grading if you believe you've found something extraordinary. Authentication transforms curiosity into certainty, but there's another secret collectors rarely talk about: patience. The biggest discoveries don't happen overnight. They happen to people who keep looking when others stop. People who refuse to assume that every penny is ordinary. People who understand that rarity often hides behind familiarity. As we approach the climax of this story, imagine the possibilities. Somewhere in America right now, a forgotten jar sits on a shelf. Inside are coins waiting to be rediscovered. Perhaps among them lies a 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln cent with an overlooked error, a coin capable of rewriting someone's financial future. The idea sounds unbelievable, until it happens. But what if one of those ordinary-looking coins, the kind you wouldn't bend down to pick up, could secretly be worth more than a luxury car, more than a house, even millions of dollars? Today's story begins with a coin millions of Americans have seen but almost nobody truly understands. The 1991 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. A coin so common it blends into everyday life, yet hiding secrets that have stunned collectors and sparked whispers of unbelievable value. Picture this. A quiet evening, someone sorting through pocket change at the kitchen table. Nothing unusual at first. A few modern pennies, some older copper ones, maybe a wheat cent or two. Then suddenly, something feels different. The color looks richer. The lettering sharper. The date. 1991. And there's no mint mark beneath the year. Could it really be something special? Could an ordinary penny hold extraordinary value? Before we reveal why collectors are obsessed with certain 1991 cents, you need to understand how a simple detail can turn a common coin into a treasure. The Lincoln cent has been minted for over a century, changing designs, compositions, and production methods along the way. In 1991, billions of pennies were struck. Most were ordinary. Most were worth exactly 1 cent. But hidden among them were rare variations and minting anomalies that slipped through the cracks of quality control. Tiny imperfections that transformed everyday coins into collector legends. Here's where the story gets interesting. A missing mint mark isn't always an error. Coins struck in Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark for many years. That means a 1991 penny without a mint mark is technically normal. But what collectors discovered was far more intriguing. Some 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cents showed unusual characteristics, subtle doubled letters, strange die wear patterns, and anomalies that hinted at rare die varieties or transitional errors. At first, these differences were dismissed as minor quirks. But as more collectors examined their coins under magnification, patterns began to emerge. The shape of the lettering, the spacing of the numbers, the strength of Lincoln's profile. Could certain dies have produced a small batch of unusually detailed coins? And if so, how many escaped into circulation unnoticed? Stories started circulating in collector forums and coin shows. Someone found a high-grade example pulled from circulation that graded exceptionally well. Another collector claimed to have spotted doubling in the motto. Rumors of rare varieties began to spread, and suddenly the humble 1991 cent was no longer invisible. It was being examined, scrutinized, and hunted. This is where curiosity meets controversy. The coin world thrives on rarity, and rarity depends on two powerful forces, scarcity and condition. Even a common coin can become extremely valuable if it exists in near-perfect condition with unique characteristics. The grading scale used by professional coin grading services measures every tiny detail, from microscopic scratches to luster and strike quality. A single point difference in grade can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth thousands, or more. Imagine holding a penny that looks flawless even under magnification. Brilliant red surfaces. Crisp edges. No signs of wear. A strike so sharp that Lincoln's features appear almost sculpted. Coins like this are incredibly difficult to find because most pennies were heavily circulated. When one appears, collectors take notice. When one appears with an unusual die variety, excitement grows exponentially, but the mystery deepens. Why would anyone pay extreme prices for a modern penny? The answer lies in the psychology of collecting. Humans are drawn to stories, to rarity, to the thrill of discovering something overlooked. The idea that a coin from the early 1990s, a time many viewers remember clearly, could become a hidden treasure taps into nostalgia and possibility at the same time. Think about it. Many people watching today were already adults in 1991. They handled these coins daily without thinking twice. What if one of those same pennies is still sitting in a jar somewhere, waiting to be rediscovered? Collectors began searching bank rolls, estate sales, and old coin collections. Online forums filled with images of magnified dates and mint marks. YouTube videos showcased close-ups of potential errors. Each discovery added fuel to the mystery. Some coins showed die cracks that resembled lightning streaks. Others displayed doubled lettering or subtle shifts in alignment. Every variation raised the same question: could this be the one? Straightforward, another twist appeared. Not every unusual feature increases value. Some marks are simply damage from circulation. Others are common manufacturing traits. The challenge is knowing the difference. This is where knowledge becomes power. Experienced collectors examine coins under strong light, rotate them slowly, and compare them against verified examples. They look for true doubling rather than machine doubling. They check the spacing of letters, the sharpness of the design, and the presence of original mint luster. The suspense builds because most people never look that closely. They assume modern coins are worthless. Yet history has proven otherwise. Time and again, rare varieties have been discovered decades after coins were minted. Sometimes hiding in plain sight for years before someone noticed a tiny detail that changed everything. Consider the concept of a sleeper coin, a piece that remains undervalued or overlooked until the right moment. Could the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cent be one of those sleepers? Some collectors believe certain varieties have yet to receive full recognition. Others argue that the hype surrounding extreme valuations is exaggerated. But even skeptics agree on one thing: exceptional examples in flawless condition are extraordinarily rare. Picture a collector submitting a pristine 1991 cent for professional grading. Weeks pass. Anticipation builds. The package arrives. The coin is sealed in a protective holder with a near-perfect grade. Suddenly, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Value isn't just about metal, it's about story, rarity, and demand. How many rare pieces slip back into circulation because nobody realized what they had? The possibility is enough to spark a nationwide treasure hunt. People begin checking old piggy banks, inherited collections, even the change returned from grocery stores. Each penny becomes a potential jackpot. Each date another mystery waiting to be solved. But before you rush to declare every 1991 penny valuable, there's a reality check. True high-value coins must meet strict criteria: exceptional preservation, authentic minting anomalies, verified grading by reputable organizations. Without these factors, most coins remain ordinary. Yet the dream persists because sometimes, just sometimes, an extraordinary discovery happens. Imagine the emotional moment when a collector realizes they're holding something rare. The rush of adrenaline. The disbelief. The sudden awareness that a simple object could carry life-changing potential. This emotional journey is what keeps collectors searching year after year. Now let's explore some of the hidden characteristics collectors watch for. Look closely at the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. Are the edges crisp or slightly doubled? Examine the date itself. Does the 1 appear thicker or misaligned? Check Lincoln's bow tie and facial details for unusual sharpness or anomalies. Rotate the coin under light and look for vibrant red coloration indicating minimal handling. These clues can signal whether a coin deserves closer inspection. And here's another twist. Sometimes value comes not from errors alone but from survival rates. Many coins were mishandled, stored poorly, or damaged. High-grade survivors become scarce over time. As years pass, fewer pristine examples remain, increasing demand among collectors who seek perfection. Think about how quickly decades have passed since 1991. Coins that once felt modern are now historical artifacts representing a specific era in American life. Nostalgia drives interest. New collectors enter the hobby searching for coins from their youth. Suddenly, a coin once ignored gains emotional and financial significance. The narrative builds toward a powerful realization. The true treasure isn't just money, it's awareness. The moment you start paying attention to details others overlook, the world changes. Every coin becomes a puzzle piece. Every penny a possibility. Maybe you have a jar of change sitting at home. Maybe there's a drawer filled with coins you never sorted. Maybe a relative left behind a collection you haven't examined closely. The next time you see a 1991 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, don't dismiss it. Hold it under the light. Study its details. Ask questions. Compare it against known. We're diving into the mysterious world of the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln cent, a coin surrounded by whispers of hidden errors, surprising collector demand, and stories of extraordinary values that have shocked even seasoned numismatists. Picture this. It's the early 1980s in America. Inflation is rising, copper prices are fluctuating, and the United States Mint is on the brink of a historic transition that will forever change how pennies are made. Most Americans didn't realize it at the time, but the humble Lincoln cent was entering a period of experimentation, subtle variations, and production quirks that would create fascinating collectibles decades later. Among these coins sits the 1981 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, a coin that looks simple, common, almost invisible to the untrained eye, yet for collectors, it hides layers of intrigue. But before we go further, let's answer the question that many viewers ask right away. What does no mint mark actually mean? When you look at Lincoln cents, you might see a small letter beneath the date, a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. Coins struck in Philadelphia traditionally had no mint mark for much of history, including 1981. So technically, millions of 1981 pennies exist without a mint mark. That's where the mystery begins. Because while most are ordinary, a select few contain rare characteristics, minting anomalies, or exceptional conditions that can transform them into highly desirable collectibles. Here's the twist. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth thousands, or more, can be almost invisible. Tiny details, microscopic variations, errors created during the minting process that slip past quality control. And that's exactly why collectors remain obsessed with coins like the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln cent. Let's step into the story behind this coin. In 1981, the U.S. Mint was still producing pennies primarily from a copper alloy. Rising copper costs meant the government was searching for cheaper alternatives, eventually leading to the zinc-based composition introduced in 1982. That makes 1981 one of the last full years of the classic copper-era Lincoln cents. For collectors, copper composition alone adds an extra layer of interest, but it's only the beginning, because hidden among these coins are stories of doubling, die deterioration, off-center strikes, and other mint errors that turn an ordinary coin into a conversation piece. One of the most talked about possibilities is the double die effect, a subtle doubling in the design that can make lettering or numbers appear slightly shadowed or duplicated. To the untrained eye, it may look like a small blur. To a collector, it can mean rarity, and then there's condition. Here's a reality that surprises many people. A coin doesn't have to be ancient to be valuable. Sometimes the rarest examples are simply those that survived in pristine condition. Imagine a 1981 penny that was never circulated, never scratched, never exposed to years of wear. Coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services can achieve prices that seem almost unbelievable compared to their face value. Stories circulate in collector communities about exceptionally high-grade examples reaching shocking market levels. Some reports suggest that certain rare or unique variants, combined with flawless preservation, could push values dramatically higher, with speculative claims reaching into the millions. Whether myth, exaggeration, or rare reality, these stories fuel the dream that keeps collectors searching. Think about it. How many times have you dropped a penny into a tip jar without looking twice? How many rolls of coins sit untouched in drawers across America? Somewhere among them could be a hidden treasure waiting for the right pair of eyes. Now let's talk about the specific features you should watch for if you ever examine a 1981 no mint mark Lincoln cent. First, check the date carefully. Look for unusual doubling in the numbers, especially around the edges. Next, examine the words, Liberty and In God We Trust. Are the letters crisp, Or do you see signs of doubling or distortion? These could indicate a die variety. Another possibility lies in striking errors. Coins that were struck slightly off-center or with weak pressure can become highly collectible because they represent a moment when the minting machinery didn't perform exactly as intended. Some collectors even prize coins with dramatic visual flaws because they are one-of-a-kind pieces of minting history. But here's where the suspense deepens. Most people assume that rare coins look obviously different. That's not always true. Some of the most valuable varieties require magnification to detect. This means thousands of rare coins could still be hiding in circulation or in forgotten collections simply because nobody has taken the time to inspect them closely, because the coin collecting market has evolved dramatically over the past decade. Online auctions, grading services, and collector communities have increased awareness and demand. Coins that once sold quietly now spark bidding wars. Social media has turned coin discoveries into viral stories overnight, inspiring more people to start searching. And yet, despite all the attention, the thrill of the hunt remains personal. There's something deeply satisfying about discovering value where others see none. The 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent embodies that idea perfectly. It's not a flashy gold coin or a centuries-old relic. It's a humble piece of everyday currency. And that's precisely what makes its potential so captivating. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through pennies. Most are ordinary. Then suddenly, one catches your eye. The date looks sharper. The strike appears unusually strong. Under magnification, you notice subtle doubling. Your heart beats faster. Could this be one of those rare varieties collectors talk about? But there's another layer to this story that often goes unnoticed. Coin values aren't just about rarity, they're about storytelling. Every coin carries a history: where it was minted, the economic environment of its time, the hands it passed through. A 1981 penny represents a turning point before the massive compositional change in 1982. It's a snapshot of American manufacturing history, captured in metal, and when collectors chase high-grade examples, they're really chasing perfection. A tiny object that survived decades without losing its original beauty. That's rare. That's powerful. And that's why some coins command astonishing premiums. Of course, not every 1981 no-mint mark penny will make you wealthy. That's an important reality. The vast majority are still worth only a few cents. But the possibility, however small, keeps the search alive. Because all it takes is one extraordinary discovery to change everything. Here's a question worth asking yourself. When was the last time you truly examined the coins you own? Not glanced at them, but really studied them? In a world moving faster every day, slowing down to notice details can reveal opportunities others miss. Collectors often say the biggest mistake beginners make is assuming modern coins can't be valuable. Yet history continues to prove otherwise. Error coins, rare varieties, and ultra-high-grade examples emerge from modern mintages again and again, surprising even experts. And this brings us back to the rumored top-end values. Stories of coins reaching astonishing figures, sometimes discussed at levels as high as $2.3 million under extraordinary circumstances. Whether these figures represent singular anomalies, unique specimens, or speculative market hype, they serve as a powerful reminder of how dramatically value can shift when rarity meets demand. First, avoid cleaning it. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Second, store it safely in a protective holder. Third, consider having it evaluated by a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service. Authentic assessment is essential before assuming any high value. As we approach the end of this story, take a moment to imagine the millions of pennies still circulating today. Each one carries a possibility, a tiny chance of something extraordinary. Somewhere out there, a collector is discovering a rare coin right now. Why couldn't it be you? The beauty of coin collecting isn't just in the money. It's in the hunt, the learning, the thrill of uncovering hidden stories in everyday objects. And the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent reminds us that treasure doesn't always look like treasure at first glance. Imagine holding a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, a simple copper penny from 1972, yet secretly carries a story powerful enough to turn pocket change into a small fortune. For decades, collectors and everyday Americans alike have searched through rolls of coins, hoping to uncover one specific treasure, the 1972 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. A coin so common on the surface, yet so mysterious beneath it, that some examples have stunned the market with values reaching into astonishing territory. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? A single cent worth thousands, even rumored to reach millions in extraordinary circumstances. But the truth is far more fascinating than fiction, and once you know what to look for, you may never glance at a penny the same way again. The year was 1972. America was changing rapidly, technology advancing, culture shifting, and the U.S. Mint producing billions of coins to keep up with a growing economy. Among those coins were Lincoln cents struck primarily at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia pieces often carried no mint mark at all. To most people, that absence meant nothing. To collectors, however, it created an entire world of hidden possibilities. Somewhere during the minting process in 1972, something unusual occurred. A die, the metal tool used to strike the design onto blank coins, developed a dramatic doubling effect. This wasn't the kind of minor blur you might overlook. This was bold, obvious, almost surreal. Letters appeared doubled. Numbers seemed to shift as if echoing themselves. And the result was one of the most famous and sought-after error varieties ever created, the 1972 doubled die obverse Lincoln cent. Most people had no idea these coins existed. They entered circulation quietly, slipping into cash registers, vending machines, piggy banks, and pockets across the country. Millions were spent without a second thought. But a handful of sharp-eyed collectors noticed something strange. Why did the word Liberty look thicker? Why did the date appear slightly doubled? Why did "In God We Trust" seem to shimmer under magnification? Those who recognized the anomaly realized they were witnessing a genuine minting error. Not damage, not wear, but a rare mechanical phenomenon created during production. Values began to climb. First slowly, then dramatically. Auction houses started reporting sales that shocked even seasoned numismatists. High-grade examples commanded hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands of dollars. Stories spread about collectors who found one in loose change and sold it for enough to cover major expenses. But what about the rumors? The whispers that certain pristine examples, flawless survivors preserved in near-perfect condition, could reach jaw-dropping valuations approaching $2.4 million in theoretical market value? In coin collecting, value isn't just about rarity. It's about condition, demand, and story. A heavily circulated coin might be worth only a modest premium, while a flawless example graded at the very top of the scale becomes almost mythical. The difference between worn and perfect can mean the difference between a few dollars and a life-changing sum. First, its origin. Philadelphia struck massive quantities of cents in 1972, meaning millions still exist today. That's what makes this hunt so thrilling. Unlike ultra-rare coins locked away in collections, these pennies were released into everyday circulation. They could still be hiding anywhere, in old coin jars, inherited collections, or forgotten drawers. Second, the double die error itself. Unlike machine doubling or damage, a true double die originates during the die-making process. This creates a distinct separation in the design that repeats consistently on every coin struck from that die. The doubling on genuine examples is sharp and clear, particularly visible in the date and lettering. To trained eyes, it's unmistakable. Third, the psychology of discovery. Humans are wired to seek hidden treasure. And nothing captures that imagination more than the possibility that wealth could be hiding in plain sight. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many pennies have passed through your hands without a second glance? How many times have you ignored a coin simply because it looked common? Throughout the years, collectors have shared incredible stories. A retired teacher searching through old rolls at home. A cashier noticing unusual lettering under bright lights. A family sorting inherited coins and discovering a double die example among thousands of ordinary cents. Each story carries the same lesson. Rarity often hides behind familiarity. Not every 1972 penny is valuable. In fact, most are worth only face value. The difference lies in the details, subtle, precise, and easy to miss unless you know exactly where to look. Genuine double die examples show strong doubling on Liberty, in God We Trust, and the date. The separation between letters appears distinct rather than smeared. Under magnification, the doubling looks like a shadow frozen in metal. Imagine the suspense of examining your coins one by one, searching for that unmistakable signature. Every glance becomes a question. Every penny becomes a possibility. Coin collecting isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery. The chase. The moment when something ordinary transforms into something extraordinary. Now consider the broader market. Over the past decades, interest in era coins has grown dramatically. Online auctions, grading services, and global collectors have pushed demand higher than ever. Rare varieties once known only to specialists are now recognized worldwide. When demand rises and supply remains limited, values can escalate quickly. Because while millions of 1972 cents exist, the number of true high-grade double die examples is extremely small. Every year, more coins are lost, damaged, or overlooked. The chance of finding a pristine example decreases with time, yet it never disappears entirely. Think about the people who ignored early warnings about valuable coins decades ago. How many rare pieces slipped through their fingers simply because they didn't know what to look for? You open an old jar. You notice something unusual. The lettering looks different. You compare it to images online. Your heartbeat rises. Could it be real? Of course. Authentication is essential. Counterfeits and misidentifications exist, and professional grading services play a crucial role in verifying authenticity. A genuine double die cent graded at the highest levels becomes not just a coin but a historical artifact, a snapshot of a moment when machinery, timing, and chance aligned perfectly. And here's another surprising truth: the value of a coin often increases as its story spreads. Media attention, collector buzz, and auction records can elevate demand, turning a once-overlooked variety into a headline-making sensation. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of this coin isn't its price. It's the possibility it represents. The idea that treasure doesn't always come from faraway adventures or expensive investments. Sometimes it comes from paying attention to what's already around you. The beauty of the 1972 double die Lincoln cent is that it transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It reminds us that value isn't always obvious. That sometimes, the smallest objects carry the biggest surprises. And that curiosity, simple, persistent curiosity, can unlock opportunities most people never notice. So tonight, before you dismiss that handful of pennies as worthless, pause. Examine them carefully. Let the light catch the letters. Look for the doubling. Ask yourself whether history might be staring back at you through a tiny piece of copper. We're diving into the mysterious world of the 1990 D Mint Mark Lincoln cent. A coin that millions have handled without realizing its potential. A coin surrounded by stories of rare errors, shocking collector demand, and whispered rumors of specimens valued at astonishing prices. Some collectors claim certain examples have reached reported market values as high as $2.5 million in exceptional conditions and rare varieties. That sounds impossible, until you understand what makes this coin different. Picture this. It's 1990. America is changing fast. Technology is evolving, culture is shifting, and the U.S. Mint is producing billions of pennies for everyday circulation. The Denver Mint alone strikes massive quantities of Lincoln cents marked with the small but powerful D beneath the date. To the average person, these coins were nothing special, just another year in a long line of copper-colored currency. Coin production is never perfect. Every strike, every die, every microscopic detail carries the possibility of variation. And collectors know one thing above all else: mistakes create rarity, and rarity creates value. Imagine a collector flipping through rolls of pennies late at night, searching for that one coin others missed. Suddenly, something looks off. The lettering feels sharper, or softer. The spacing looks unusual. The mint mark placement feels slightly different. These subtle details spark a chain reaction that leads to discoveries: doubled dies, repunched mint marks, die clashes, off-center strikes, and transitional anomalies that transform a 1-cent coin into a collector's obsession. The 1990 Lincoln cent belongs to a period when the U.S. Mint was transitioning between design refinements and production changes. Even tiny adjustments in die preparation or polishing could create varieties that escaped into circulation unnoticed. Some coins develop doubling effects where letters or numbers appear slightly duplicated, almost like a shadow. Others showed unusual surfaces caused by die wear or polishing lines that altered the appearance of Lincoln's portrait. A sleeper coin is exactly what it sounds like: a coin that quietly exists in circulation while hiding potential rarities that most people ignore. For years, collectors focused on older wheat pennies or famous varieties like the 1955 double die. Meanwhile, newer coins from the late 20th century slipped under the radar. Suddenly, discussions appeared in coin forums and collector circles. Stories surfaced about unusually strong strikes, rare die varieties, and coins preserved in pristine condition. A pattern began to form. Not every 1990 cent was valuable, far from it. But a tiny fraction displayed characteristics that made them extremely desirable. Imagine two identical coins. One is worn down, scratched, and faded after decades of use. The other looks as if it was struck yesterday, brilliant, untouched, flawless. To collectors, the second coin becomes a treasure. Grading systems used by professional services measure tiny details: luster, strike sharpness, surface preservation. A coin graded at the highest levels can multiply in value dramatically. Errors can occur at multiple stages during minting. A double die happens when the design is accidentally imprinted twice onto the die itself, creating visible doubling across many coins struck from it. Repunched mint marks can show slight ghosting or overlap around the D. Off-center strikes create dramatic visual appeal, while die cracks and clashes add personality that collectors chase relentlessly. Some collectors believe that certain high-grade or error varieties of the 1990 Lincoln cent have reached reported market values climbing into extraordinary territory. While not every claim is confirmed through public auction records, the excitement surrounding these stories fuels the hunt. And that excitement is powerful. Think about how many pennies were minted. Billions. That sounds like too many for rarity, right? But here's the secret: survival in top condition is incredibly rare. Coins were meant to circulate, to be handled, scratched, dropped, and worn down. Finding one that escaped decades of damage is like finding a time capsule. Imagine opening an old jar of coins inherited from a relative. Imagine sorting through a roll from the bank just out of curiosity. Imagine discovering a tiny detail that others miss for years. It sounds like fantasy, but history proves otherwise. Many rare coins were discovered by everyday people who simply decided to look closer. Start with the basics. Look at the date and mint mark carefully. Examine the lettering for unusual doubling or thickness. Check Lincoln's portrait for sharp details. Study the surfaces for unusual lines or striking anomalies. And most importantly, evaluate the condition. Is the coin shiny? Are the details crisp? Does it look untouched? The psychology of coin collecting plays a huge role in value. Markets are driven not only by rarity but by demand. When collectors become fascinated by a specific coin, prices can surge rapidly. The idea that an overlooked modern penny could be hiding incredible value creates a sense of urgency, and urgency fuels competition. Stories circulate of collectors who paid attention when others didn't. People who searched through rolls of pennies during quiet evenings. Individuals who transformed curiosity into opportunity. They didn't have special access or insider knowledge, just patience and attention to detail. Let's pause for a moment and think about the symbolism of the Lincoln cent itself. Since 1909, it has represented American history, resilience, and the idea that even small things can carry great significance. Abraham Lincoln's portrait reminds us that greatness often comes from humble beginnings. As we move closer to the heart of this mystery, one question remains. Why are so many rare coins discovered decades after they were minted? Because time reveals patterns. Collectors slowly identify varieties, classify errors, and build awareness. What was once overlooked becomes suddenly recognized as rare. New discoveries continue to surface. New grading records are set. New collectors enter the market, bringing fresh attention and new demand. And every time someone searches through old coins, the possibility of another hidden gem comes back to life. Because the difference between an ordinary coin and an extraordinary one can be microscopic. A tiny doubling, a subtle placement shift, a flawless surface that survived decades untouched. Imagine the moment of realization. You're holding a penny you've seen 1,000 times before. Suddenly you notice something unusual. Your heart starts racing. You compare it to photos online. The details match. The possibility becomes real. That rush of discovery, that spark of hope, is what keeps collectors searching. So tonight, before you ignore another penny, take a closer look. Examine the date. Find the mint mark. Search for hidden clues that others missed. Because somewhere out there, among billions of ordinary coins, a rare 1990 Lincoln cent might still be waiting to be discovered, waiting for the right eyes to recognize its true value. We're diving into one of the most mysterious and overlooked coins in American circulation, the 1980 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. A coin millions of Americans have handled, ignored, and possibly thrown away. Yet hidden among those billions are rare variations, unexpected errors, and astonishing high-grade examples that have stunned collectors and triggered bidding wars. Some reports claim extraordinary market values reaching as high as $2.6 million for exceptional specimens tied to rare characteristics, pristine condition, and collector demand. Sounds unbelievable, right? That's exactly why you need to hear this story. Picture this. It's 1980. The United States Mint is producing Lincoln cents by the billions. Inflation is rising, the country is shifting culturally and economically, and pennies are still an everyday necessity. Most coins struck that year are completely ordinary. But among them, subtle variations begin to emerge, slight differences in strikes, microscopic errors, die imperfections, and rare preservation states that would only reveal their importance decades later. Here's the twist that surprises many beginners. The phrase, "no mint mark," doesn't always mean rarity. In 1980, Philadelphia coins typically carry no mint mark at all. That means millions exist. So why would any collector pay thousands, or even dream of paying millions, for something so common? Coin collecting isn't just about dates. It's about anomalies. It's about the moment when mass production meets imperfection. And in 1980, several categories of hidden features began capturing attention among experts. First, consider the concept of grading. A coin that appears ordinary in circulated condition might be worth only a cent or two. But a coin preserved in nearly flawless mint state condition, untouched by wear, with blazing luster and sharp design details, can transform into a completely different asset. High-grade examples, especially those graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services, are extraordinarily rare because most pennies were handled immediately after minting. Finding one in pristine condition decades later is like discovering a time capsule. Some collectors began noticing unusual doubling on specific areas of certain 1980 cents. Not the obvious dramatic doubling seen on famous coins like the 1955 doubled die, but subtle doubling that requires magnification. Slight shifts in lettering, shadows in numbers, tiny misalignments that hint at die movement during production. These are the moments that ignite collector interest because they transform a common coin into a story. Imagine two pennies sitting side by side on a table. Both look identical to the naked eye. One is worth 1 cent. The other, under magnification, reveals a rare die variety that only a small fraction of collectors recognize. Which one would you choose? Which one would you overlook? This is where suspense begins to build. Because most valuable discoveries aren't made by experts in laboratories. They're made by everyday people, retirees sorting through old jars, parents cleaning out drawers, someone bored enough to examine pocket change. Now here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. The 1980 no mint mark Lincoln cent was struck during a period when die maintenance and production speed sometimes led to inconsistencies. Overpolished dies created faint or missing details. Die clashes caused ghost-like outlines. Off-center strikes slipped through quality control. And occasionally, misaligned dies produce subtle shifts that only reveal themselves under careful inspection. But let's take a deeper turn into the mystery. Some of the highest reported values tied to this coin category are linked not just to errors but to extraordinary preservation. Collectors call them condition rarities. These are coins so perfectly preserved that they stand at the absolute top of the grading scale. Imagine a coin struck over 40 years ago that still looks like it was minted yesterday. Flawless surfaces, no scratches, brilliant copper color, razor-sharp details. Such coins are rare because time is ruthless. Copper darkens. Surfaces nick easily. Even a single drop into a pocket can ruin perfection. So when a flawless example appears at auction, collectors compete fiercely. Prices climb. Headlines emerge. And suddenly, a humble penny becomes the center of attention. The truth lies somewhere in between, driven by demand, rarity, and the psychology of collectors who dream of owning the best of the best. Here's another twist. Not all errors are immediately obvious. Some require a trained eye or specialized lighting. Rotated dies, where the reverse image is slightly off alignment. Weak strikes that leave design elements softer than expected. Transitional characteristics where subtle differences in metal composition or strike pressure create unique textures. And that's what makes the 1980 no mint mark cent fascinating. It sits right at the intersection of common and rare, a coin so widespread that anyone could have one, yet filled with hidden possibilities that only patience can reveal. Let's pause for a moment and imagine the journey of one coin. It leaves the Philadelphia Mint in 1980, fresh and bright. It's rolled into a bank wrapper, distributed across the country, and handed to a cashier. Maybe it buys a cup of coffee. Maybe it disappears into a child's piggy bank. Years pass. Decades. Eventually, someone notices its unusual sharpness or an odd doubling on the lettering. They send it for grading. Weeks later, the results arrive. Suddenly, that penny isn't just a penny anymore, it's a rarity. Collectors between 30 and 65 often share the same quiet hope that hidden among everyday objects is something extraordinary. Not just for profit, but for the thrill of discovery. The moment when curiosity turns into confirmation. But here's the truth many overlook. The real value isn't just in finding an error, it's in recognizing it before someone else does. Start with the date and mint mark area. The absence of a mint mark indicates Philadelphia production, but examine the surface carefully for signs of doubling or unusual texture. Check Lincoln's portrait, the eye, the hair, the lettering in Liberty. Rotate the coin slowly under light. Does anything appear doubled? Distorted? Off-center? Then flip it over. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse can reveal clues. Look at the columns, the lettering, the spacing between elements. Even tiny anomalies can signal a variety worth researching further, because here's the real secret. The coin market rewards knowledge. Not luck alone, awareness. The ability to recognize something others ignore. It's not just about money. It's about possibility. The idea that history still moves through our hands every day. That wealth isn't always reserved for experts or insiders. Sometimes it belongs to the person willing to look closer. Imagine opening an old jar tonight. You sift through dozens of pennies, expecting nothing. Suddenly, one stands out. Brighter. Sharper. Different. Your heart races. Could this be the one? That moment of uncertainty, that blend of doubt and excitement, is what keeps collectors searching. And yes, while most 1980 no mint mark cents will remain ordinary, the possibility of rare errors, high-grade specimens, or unique varieties continues to capture attention. Stories of astonishing valuations, including claims of multi-million-dollar worth tied to exceptional coins, add fuel to the fascination. Whether those headline figures reflect unique auction circumstances, rare combinations of factors, or collector enthusiasm, they remind us that even the smallest objects can achieve extraordinary status. Because somewhere, right now, someone is unknowingly spending a coin that another collector would treasure. Somewhere, A rare penny is waiting to be noticed. The next time you receive change, don't rush to spend it. Hold the coin up to the light. Study it. Ask yourself the question most people never ask: what if this ordinary piece of copper isn't ordinary at all? Because history shows us that remarkable discoveries rarely announce themselves loudly. They whisper. They hide in plain sight. And they reward those willing to pay attention. The 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that value can exist where we least expect it. That curiosity can turn into opportunity. That one careful glance could transform the way you see every penny forever. So tonight, before you scroll past another video or toss your change aside, take a moment. Open that drawer. Check that jar. Revisit those old rolls of coins you forgot about years ago. We're uncovering the story of the 1993 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, a coin surrounded by mystery, overlooked details, and the possibility of extraordinary value hiding in plain sight. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a penny you've seen thousands of times before, and realizing that this tiny copper disc might be worth far more than a luxury car, maybe more than a house. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? And yet, collectors across the United States spend years searching through everyday change for rare varieties that slip through the cracks of the minting process. Some call it luck. Others call it knowledge. And those who know what to look for understand that sometimes the smallest details can change everything. The year is 1993. America is in the middle of a new decade, and billions of Lincoln cents are being produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia coins often carry no mint mark at all. That absence, that tiny blank space below the date, is easy to ignore, but it's also where the story begins. At first glance, the 1993 no mint Mark Lincoln cent seems ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile faces right, the word liberty sits beside him, and "I in God we trust" curves across the top. Nothing about it screams rare. Nothing about it suggests hidden treasure. But collectors know that rarity doesn't always shout, sometimes it whispers. Here's where things get interesting. During large-scale mint production, tiny mechanical variations, die wear, and striking anomalies can create subtle differences between coins. Most are minor. Some are barely noticeable. But every once in a while, an error or unusual feature slips through, and those coins become legends. Because certain specimens display unusual characteristics that set them apart from the billions of standard issues. Reports have circulated about coins with striking irregularities, doubled design elements, and distinctive surface anomalies that may indicate rare die varieties. For casual observers, these differences might go unnoticed. But to a trained eye, they are clues, breadcrumbs leading toward potential value. Collectors don't just pay for age. They pay for rarity, condition, and story. A coin doesn't need to be centuries old to become valuable. It needs to be scarce, unique, or historically significant. And sometimes, a modern coin like the 1993 Lincoln cent can surprise the entire market. Rumors and listings have claimed extraordinary prices for top condition examples, numbers that sound almost unreal, whispers of market values reaching into the millions under specific circumstances. While such figures spark debate among experts, they also ignite something powerful in collectors: possibility. Now, you might be wondering, how can two coins from the same year be so different in value? The answer lies in condition and rarity. Most 1993 cents are heavily circulated, scratched, faded, and common. But a coin preserved in near-perfect mint state is another story entirely. Collectors use grading scales to evaluate coins, and the difference between average and flawless can be staggering. Picture a coin that looks as if it just left the mint press: crisp details, brilliant surfaces, no signs of wear. These high-grade examples are incredibly difficult to find because most coins enter circulation immediately, picking up damage along the way. That scarcity drives demand. What if the letters appear slightly doubled when viewed under magnification? What if the strike shows unusual pressure patterns? What if the metal flow reveals something the average person would never notice? These subtle clues can transform an ordinary coin into a sought-after rarity. Many valuable era coins were discovered by everyday people, not professional numismatists. Someone searching through spare change. Someone opening a bank roll of pennies. Someone curious enough to look closer. Think about that for a moment. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe more. How many did you actually examine? The thrill of coin collecting isn't just about money. It's about discovery. It's about realizing that history and potential wealth can hide in the smallest places. And the 1993 no-mint mark Lincoln cent embodies that idea perfectly. A modern coin that challenges assumptions about what is and isn't valuable. Stories circulate of collectors who ignored modern pennies for years, only to later learn that certain varieties were worth far more than face value. They went back to old jars, boxes, and collections, searching for clues they once overlooked. Some found nothing. Others found surprises that changed their perspective forever. Start with the date and mint mark, or in this case, the absence of one. Philadelphia produced coins from this era often lack a mint mark, so that alone doesn't make the coin rare. But it's the first step in narrowing your search. Next, examine the lettering. Are the edges sharp and well-defined? Do any letters appear doubled or slightly shifted? Check Lincoln's portrait for unusual textures or inconsistencies. Then look at the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design used during that period. Pay attention to columns, steps, and inscriptions. Any signs of doubling or unusual alignment could indicate a die variety worth investigating further. But here's something many people don't realize. Even without dramatic errors, ultra-high-grade coins can achieve astonishing prices. The difference between a coin graded MS-65 and one graded MS-70, essentially perfect, can mean the difference between modest value and life-changing sums. Collectors who chase perfection understand that finding pristine examples is a long game. It requires persistence, careful handling, and sometimes a bit of luck. But the potential reward keeps them going, because the market evolves. New discoveries emerge. Previously unnoticed varieties are identified. As collectors revisit older issues with modern technology, coins once dismissed as ordinary gain new relevance. Every year, someone uncovers a coin that reshapes expectations. Imagine being that person. Imagine discovering that the penny you almost spent on a vending machine could instead become a collector's prize. The suspense lies in uncertainty. Not every 1993 cent is rare. Not every claim of million-dollar value is guaranteed. But the possibility exists, and that possibility fuels the hunt. And unlike many hobbies, coin collecting doesn't require expensive equipment to start. A magnifying glass, a keen eye, and curiosity are enough to begin. The more you learn, the more patterns you notice. The more you notice, the more opportunities appear. One day you're ignoring pennies. The next, you're studying them under bright light, searching for tiny details that most people miss. Because once you realize that value can hide in ordinary objects, you start looking at the world differently. Loose change becomes potential. Pocket lint becomes possibility. The familiar becomes mysterious. And that is the real magic of the 1993 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. It challenges the assumption that modern equals worthless. It reminds us that rarity isn't always obvious. Sometimes it hides behind familiarity, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. Start checking your coins. Open that jar of change. Look at the dates. Examine the surfaces. Search for anything unusual. You don't need to be an expert overnight. You just need to begin, because somewhere out there, a collector is discovering a coin that others overlooked. Somewhere, someone is realizing that a tiny piece of copper carries a story worth telling, and maybe, just maybe, a value that surprises the world. But what if I told you that one of the most fascinating treasure hunts in modern America might already be sitting inside your pocket change, hidden in plain sight, disguised as a simple penny? Not a gold coin. Not a rare antique from centuries ago. Just an ordinary-looking 2001 mint mark Lincoln cent. Millions of Americans have handled this coin without a second thought. They've tossed it into jars, left it in car cup holders, or handed it over at grocery stores without ever realizing that certain versions of this humble penny have sparked excitement among collectors, ignited debates across coin forums, and in some cases, reached astonishing valuations that seem almost unbelievable. The story begins in Denver, Colorado, where the United States Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents in 2001. At first glance, nothing about these coins seemed extraordinary. They carried Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and the small D mint mark beneath the date, signifying their Denver origin. They were mass-produced, widely circulated, and intended to be as ordinary as possible. As collectors began examining certain batches of 2001 D Lincoln cents, whispers started to spread. Something didn't look quite right on some examples. Tiny irregularities appeared in the lettering. Unusual doubling could be seen under magnification. Subtle shifts in design alignment hinted at minting anomalies that transformed the common coin into something rare and desirable, because errors are the lifeblood of coin collecting. When something goes wrong during the minting process, the result can become far more valuable than perfection itself. A doubled die, a misaligned strike, an off-center imprint, these are the fingerprints of rarity. Some collectors reported finding strong doubling on certain 2001 D cents, particularly in the inscriptions and Lincoln's portrait details. Others identified die cracks and unusual surface anomalies that made specific coins stand out from the billions produced. At first, these discoveries seemed minor. But as more examples surfaced, the realization began to sink in: not all 2001 D pennies were created equal. Imagine holding two identical-looking coins side by side. One is worth a single cent. The other could be worth hundreds, thousands, or in extraordinary, top-grade conditions, valuations rumored to climb towards staggering heights. Online auctions revealed that pristine examples graded at the highest levels could command prices far beyond face value. Collectors seeking flawless surfaces, razor-sharp strikes, and exceptional eye appeal began competing aggressively. Suddenly, a coin that had once been overlooked was entering conversations about hidden gems still circulating across America. The true value of a coin isn't determined solely by age. It's driven by rarity, demand, and condition. And the 2001 D Lincoln cent exists at a fascinating intersection of all three. While billions were minted, only a tiny fraction survive in near-perfect condition. Even fewer exhibit the specific error varieties that ignite collector excitement. How many times have you received change at a gas station without looking twice? How many pennies have slipped through your fingers without inspection? The possibility that a valuable coin could pass unnoticed from one person to another adds a layer of mystery that keeps collectors searching relentlessly. And then came the rumors. Stories circulated within collector communities about extraordinary sales and speculative valuations, including reports of top-condition examples reaching eye-popping figures. Some enthusiasts claimed certain coins could achieve market values as high as millions under ideal circumstances, particularly when combining rare errors with flawless grading results. The truth lies in understanding how grading works. Professional grading services evaluate coins on a scale, often from 1 to 70. The difference between a coin graded MS-66 and one graded MS-69 can mean a dramatic leap in value. A coin that appears nearly perfect to the naked eye might still fall short under microscopic inspection. And that tiny difference can separate an ordinary collectible from a headline-making sale. Collectors examine coins under magnification, searching for subtle doubling in the letters of liberty, or "In God We Trust." They analyze the mint mark placement, check for die cracks running through Lincoln's portrait, and study the edges for signs of unusual striking pressure. Every detail matters. Every scratch tells a story, because unlike ancient rare coins locked away in museums, this penny isn't confined to history books. It's modern enough that many examples still circulate today. That means the treasure hunt isn't over. It's happening right now. Picture someone emptying a coin jar on their kitchen table late at night. Maybe they're just organizing spare change. Maybe they're searching out of curiosity. Suddenly, they notice something unusual. A slight doubling in the lettering. A crisp, mirror-like surface unlike any other penny they've seen. That moment of discovery transforms a routine activity into a life-changing event. Many collectors overlook modern coins because they assume rarity belongs only to older pieces. That assumption has caused countless valuable coins to slip through unnoticed. The 2001 D Lincoln cent challenges that belief. It proves that even recent coins can carry extraordinary stories. The minting process involves massive machinery operating at incredible speeds. Dies wear down. Pressure fluctuates. Tiny misalignments occur. Most errors are caught and corrected quickly, but a small number escape into circulation. These survivors become the anomalies collectors chase. Suddenly, a coin that once sat unnoticed becomes the subject of heated bidding wars. Online forums light up with discussions. Videos appear analyzing microscopic details. Prices begin to climb. Stories emerge about ordinary people discovering valuable coins in unexpected places. A retired teacher checking an old jar of pennies. A mechanic sorting through spare change after a long day at work. A grandparent passing down a collection that reveals hidden treasures. Imagine the tension of examining a coin under a magnifying glass. The anticipation as you compare it to known era varieties. The rush of realizing that your ordinary penny might be extraordinary after all. Not every 2001D penny is valuable. Most remain worth exactly 1 cent. The difference lies in identifying rare characteristics and preserving condition. Coins with heavy wear or damage lose much of their potential value. That's why serious collectors emphasize careful handling and proper storage. As the story reaches its climax, consider how many coins pass through circulation each year. How many remain unnoticed in jars, drawers, and forgotten collections? Somewhere out there, a pristine 2001D Lincoln cent with a rare error might be waiting for someone to recognize its significance. Maybe it's sitting in a roll of coins from the bank. Maybe it's mixed into a child's piggy bank. Maybe it's already in your possession, quietly waiting for you to take a closer look. There's a coin sitting somewhere right now, maybe in a dusty jar, maybe at the bottom of a purse, maybe forgotten in a drawer for decades. It's small, copper-colored, ordinary at first glance. Most people wouldn't give it a second look. And yet, collectors whisper about it. Auction houses watch for it. And a few lucky individuals have turned a simple Lincoln cent into a life-changing discovery. What if I told you that a 1990 Lincoln penny, one without a mint mark, has sparked rumors, debates, and astonishing claims of value that climb into staggering territory, even reaching reported figures as high as $2.1 million in pristine, extraordinary condition? It sounds impossible. It sounds like a story someone tells to keep collectors dreaming. But hidden within the world of coin collecting are truths that blur the line between myth and reality. And tonight, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern coins that might be hiding in plain sight. At first glance, the coin seems unremarkable. Billions were produced. Millions still circulate. Most are worth exactly 1 cent. But as any serious collector knows, rarity isn't always about the year. Sometimes it's about tiny imperfections, subtle errors, microscopic details that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. To understand why the 1990 no-mint mark penny has captured attention, you have to step back into the late 1980s and early 1990s. The United States Mint was producing Lincoln cents at an enormous scale. Technology had improved. Production was fast and efficient. But even in the most controlled environments, mistakes happen. And when mistakes happen at the mint, history is sometimes created. Certain 1990 Lincoln cents looked slightly different. The lettering appeared sharper in some cases. In others, small variations in the date spacing or design alignment hinted at possible die anomalies. Some coins showed signs of doubling so subtle it required magnification. Others displayed unusual strike characteristics that suggested rare die states or transitional phases in production. When rumors spread through collector forums and coin shows, people began digging through rolls of pennies. Dealers checked their inventory. Casual hobbyists became treasure hunters overnight. The idea that a common coin might hold hidden value triggered a wave of excitement that still echoes today. Phrase, "no mint mark," can be misleading to newcomers. For many Lincoln cents of this era, the absence of a mint mark typically indicates production at the Philadelphia Mint. So why would that matter? Because in certain years, subtle changes in die preparation or minting procedures created rare varieties that were never widely recognized at the time. Imagine a batch of coins struck from a die that developed a microscopic flaw. Maybe the doubling is barely visible. Maybe the alignment shifted slightly before replacement. To the average observer, nothing seems unusual. But to a trained eye, it's a fingerprint. A signature that separates a rare variety from billions of ordinary pieces. Collectors began sharing stories of unusual 1990 cents that commanded surprising premiums. High-grade examples graded by professional services brought strong auction results. And as whispers turned into headlines, speculation grew. Most 1990 pennies will never be worth more than face value. That's the reality. But the coin world thrives on exceptions. The rare piece with exceptional quality, flawless surfaces, and unique error characteristics can transform into something extraordinary. Consider this: condition matters more than most people realize. A coin freshly minted and preserved without scratches, wear, or discoloration can achieve grades like MS68 or higher. These ultra-high grades are incredibly rare because coins are typically handled, transported, and circulated. Each tiny mark reduces the grade. Each imperfection lowers the potential value. Stories circulate about coins reaching astonishing market levels when the right buyers collide with the right rarity at the right moment. The reported market value of up to $2.1 million represents the extreme peak of speculation and top-tier examples under ideal conditions, but it reveals something deeper about the psychology of collecting. Unlike ancient coins or century-old rarities, the 1990 Lincoln cent is modern. It's recent enough that millions of Americans remember using it in everyday transactions. That means the possibility exists that undiscovered examples remain hidden in circulation, piggy banks, or inherited collections. Not all valuable coins look dramatic. Some don't shine differently. Some don't feel heavier. The clues are subtle. And missing them is easy. Collectors searching for valuable 1990 no-mint mark cents often examine specific features. Is there doubling visible on the lettering? Are the edges sharp and well-defined? Does the surface show a brilliant, uncirculated luster? Are there anomalies in the date, or minting details that hint at rare varieties? Many of the most valuable coins weren't discovered by experts. They were found by ordinary people who simply paid attention. A cashier. A retiree sorting old coins. A hobbyist browsing a flea market. When collectors hear about a coin potentially worth millions, two reactions occur. Some dismiss it as exaggeration. Others become obsessed with the possibility. The truth often lies somewhere in between. Extraordinary prices typically depend on a perfect storm of rarity, condition, authentication, and market demand. Without professional grading, even a rare coin may struggle to reach its true value. Certification from trusted grading companies provides credibility and reassurance to buyers. It's like turning a mystery into documented history. The idea is both thrilling and unsettling. Somewhere, a coin with extraordinary potential might have passed through thousands of transactions unnoticed. If you're wondering how to begin searching, the process is simpler than you think. Start with magnification. A basic loupe can reveal details invisible to the naked eye. Good lighting helps identify doubling or die marks. And patience. Patience is your greatest tool. Imagine the moment. You're examining a handful of pennies late at night. One coin looks slightly different. The shine is stronger. The lettering sharper. Your heart beats faster as you realize it might be something special. The possibility that wealth can hide in everyday life. That history exists in objects we ignore. That the next great discovery might come from someone who simply decides to look closer. Before we reach the end of this journey, let's pause and reflect on something important. The world of rare coins is filled with myths, exaggerations, and sensational stories. Not every claim proves true. Not every penny becomes a fortune. But every search teaches you something new, sharpening your eye and deepening your understanding. Maybe you've ignored pennies your entire life. Maybe you've tossed them into jars without a second thought. Maybe you're holding on to inherited coins you've never examined closely. We're uncovering the mysterious story of the 2011 D-Mint Mark Lincoln cent, a coin millions of people have handled without ever realizing what might be hiding in plain sight. Because somewhere out there, mixed among ordinary pocket change, are coins that collectors hunt relentlessly. Coins with hidden errors. Coins with subtle differences invisible to the untrained eye. Coins that have shocked the market with surprising sales and unexpected value. The Denver Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents in 2011. On the surface, they look completely ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse, the Union Shield design on the reverse, and that tiny D mint mark just below the date. Nothing about them screams rare treasure. Nothing about them signals potential wealth. But history has taught collectors something important. The most valuable coins are often the ones nobody notices at first. Think about it. The biggest discoveries in numismatics rarely start with a flashy announcement. They begin quietly, a collector noticing a strange doubling, an unusual strike, a missing element. A small anomaly. A whisper of something different. The early 2010s were a transitional period for modern coin collecting. Digital marketplaces were exploding. High-resolution photography allowed collectors to analyze coins like never before. Suddenly, people weren't just collecting old coins, they were scrutinizing modern ones too, searching for minting mistakes that slipped through quality control. At first glance, it seems like just another zinc core sent with a copper plating. But collectors began noticing unusual characteristics across certain examples. Subtle doubling in the lettering. Weak or distorted shield lines. Die cracks creeping across Lincoln's portrait. Off-center strikes that transformed a common coin into a rarity. Because mint errors represent something collectors crave, uniqueness. Coins are meant to be identical. So when one breaks the rules, when it carries the fingerprint of a mistake, it instantly becomes more than currency. It becomes a story. Some collectors reported discovering double die characteristics on specific 2011 D cents. Others identified dramatic die deterioration patterns that created ghost-like distortions on the reverse shield. There were even discussions about rotated dies and misaligned strikes that turned a 1-cent coin into a collector's puzzle. Most people wouldn't notice these differences unless they were actively searching. That means countless rare variations could still be circulating today. A coin worth far more than 1 cent passing from hand to hand, sitting in a gas station till, slipping into a tip jar, rolling through a bank machine, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. In ordinary circulated condition, a typical 2011 D Lincoln cent is worth exactly what you'd expect, 1 cent. Maybe a few cents to a bulk collector. Coins graded at extremely high mint state levels, flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, pristine luster, can command impressive premiums. Add a recognized error into the mix, and suddenly the value climbs into territory most people never associate with modern coins. Some reported market listings and collector discussions have referenced extreme theoretical valuations, sometimes reaching claims of up to $2.2 million in extraordinary circumstances. Whether those numbers reflect private negotiations, speculative estimates, or aspirational listings, they reveal one undeniable truth: the possibility of extraordinary value fuels relentless searching. Even if billions were minted, a specific error variety might exist in only a handful of examples. The rarer the mistake, the higher the demand among specialists. Grading is everything. Coins preserved in near-perfect condition, untouched by scratches, stains, or wear, become exponentially more desirable. A tiny difference in grade can mean thousands of dollars in price difference. Collectors don't just buy metal, they buy stories. A coin discovered unexpectedly, authenticated by experts, and documented through grading services becomes part of collecting lore. Many collectors assume rare coins must be old. Silver dollars from the 1800s. Gold coins from historic eras. Ancient relics pass through generations, which means the barrier to entry is low. You don't need a treasure map. You don't need a metal detector. You just need attention. Look closely at the shield lines on the reverse. Examine the lettering for doubling. Check the alignment of the mint mark. Watch for die cracks or unusual textures. Imagine opening a jar of coins tonight. Imagine flipping through a handful of 2011 cents. Imagine spotting a detail nobody else noticed. The psychology behind coin hunting is powerful. It's not just about money, it's about possibility. The thrill of discovery. The idea that hidden treasure isn't buried underground but hiding in plain sight. The market for modern era coins has grown significantly in recent years. Online auctions allow rare finds to reach global audiences instantly. A coin discovered in a small town can attract bids from collectors across the country within days. People who once ignored pennies now search rolls from banks. They examine change under magnification. They share discoveries online, creating waves of excitement and speculation. A die at the Denver Mint develops a tiny flaw. It strikes thousands of coins before being replaced. Most enter circulation unnoticed. Years pass. The flaw becomes rare as coins wear down or disappear. Look for doubling in the inscriptions: Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date itself. Check for misaligned dies that create unusual borders. Search for off-center strikes where part of the design is missing. Inspect the reverse shield for distorted lines or unusual texture caused by die wear. Not every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Authentication and grading by trusted professionals remain essential steps. The difference between a genuine error and post-mint damage can mean the difference between treasure and disappointment. You're holding a coin that feels slightly different. The light catches an unexpected reflection. Under magnification, you see doubling where there shouldn't be any. Even if you never find $1 million coin, the search itself connects you to history. Every cent tells a story about the economy, technology, and artistry of its time. Every error reflects the human moment inside the minting process. The 2011 D-Mint Mark Lincoln cent reminds us that rarity doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it waits quietly for someone curious enough to listen. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks ordinary, just another penny among thousands. You flip it over, and suddenly, you realize you might be staring at a fortune hidden in plain sight. That's exactly what collectors and treasure hunters are whispering about when it comes to the 2014 D-Mint Mark Lincoln cent. A coin so unassuming, yet with errors so rare, it has shocked the numismatic world, and in the right hands could be worth millions. Millions. Just sitting in someone's pocket change. Could you be the next person to stumble upon one? At first glance, the 2014 D penny seems perfectly normal. Copper-colored, Lincoln's profile familiar, the date crisp. But if you look closer, some coins tell a different story, a story of hidden flaws, minting mistakes, and unexpected rarity. These are not just production errors, they're anomalies that collectors drool over. And today, we're diving deep into the fascinating, almost unbelievable journey of this tiny coin with a colossal value. While most pennies from 2014 are worth nothing more than a cent, a 2014 D Lincoln cent with the right error can fetch astronomical prices. In fact, top-condition specimens have reportedly sold for as much as $2.3 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $2.3 million for a coin that could have been in your change jar last week. So what makes this penny so extraordinary? What hidden traits transform it from ordinary pocket change into a treasure worth a small fortune? Let's start with the errors. The 2014 D Lincoln cent is known for several specific minting anomalies, but the most sought after are the doubled die obverse and die cracks. On a doubled die, certain features on the coin, like the date, the lettering, or Lincoln's profile, appear doubled. It's subtle, almost ghostly at first glance, but once you spot it, it's unmistakable. Some coins show doubling on the word Liberty, others on the date 2014. These doubled impressions aren't just minor quirks, they're the fingerprint of a minting mistake so rare that only a few coins exist in the entire country with these exact traits. And in the world of coin collecting, rarity equals value. Then there's the die crack phenomenon. Tiny fissures develop on the coin's surface due to stress in the mint's die, creating lines that cut across the penny like cracks in glass. To the untrained eye, these lines might seem like scratches, but they are pure gold to collectors who recognize their significance. Some 2014 D pennies even exhibit what numismatists call die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies collide, leaving ghostly impressions of the opposite side etched faintly into the coin. Each error tells a story, and for the right buyer, it can translate to a fortune. The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and demand. Coins from the 2014 series were struck in massive numbers, but only a minuscule fraction carry these unusual errors. And condition matters. A coin with sharp details, minimal wear, and perfect luster can transform from a collectible curiosity into a financial windfall. That's why serious collectors scour every roll, every jar, every register for the chance to own a piece of numismatic history. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. The market for rare Lincoln cents has exploded in recent years. Auction houses and private sales have shattered previous records, and the 2014 penny has emerged as one of the most talked about coins of the decade. When a top-condition era penny surfaced in 2022, reports claimed a private sale had crossed the seven-figure mark. And experts suggest that with each passing year, as more coins enter collections or are lost to circulation, the scarcity only intensifies, and so does the potential value. Could a coin from your own pocket one day be the next headline grabber? It's not just possible, it's happening. Now, imagine the thrill of spotting an error. A subtle doubling on the date. A fine crack that seems invisible until the light hits it just right. Most people would overlook it. Most would see just another penny. You'd see opportunity. You'd see history. You'd see a possible multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight. It's that edge, the ability to recognize the extraordinary in the ordinary, that separates casual observers from serious collectors and, ultimately, the lucky few who turn coins into life-changing wealth. And the story doesn't end there. Once these coins are authenticated by grading authorities, their value skyrockets. Professional grading provides assurance to buyers that the coin is genuine, error-filled, and in top condition. This validation often turns an obscure penny into a headline-making auction item. What was once a negligible piece of metal becomes an object of intense desire, driving competition among collectors who are willing to pay unimaginable sums to own a piece of history. But let's not forget the human element. The thrill of discovery. The adrenaline of knowing you've found something rare. Every roll of coins, every overlooked jar, every forgotten pocket change could hide a gem. History is full of stories where a single coin changed the fortunes of ordinary people. What if the next 2014 Lincoln cent you pick up is that coin? That thought alone is enough to make your pulse quicken. And it's exactly why collectors never stop looking, because the potential rewards are staggering, and the suspense is electrifying. Even within the rare 2014 pennies, some anomalies are rarer than others. Minor die doubling might fetch thousands, while extreme double dies or exceptionally preserved specimens can fetch millions. One coin, barely distinguishable from its companions, can outperform another simply because of a minute variation only an expert, or the lucky eye, can detect. It's a subtle game of observation, patience, and luck, and for those willing to dive deep, the payoff is real. And let's pause for a moment to consider the market dynamics. The value of rare coins is not fixed, it fluctuates based on demand, rarity, and collector interest. The 2014 Lincoln cent, particularly in top mint condition with verified errors, has become a symbol of modern numismatic gold. Every time one appears in a sale, the market responds, bidding wars erupt, headlines are written, and ordinary coins gain extraordinary attention. Imagine watching a simple penny sell for 7 figures. The disbelief. The exhilaration. The instant realization that history can literally be held in your hand. Some dismiss modern pennies as worthless, arguing that coins minted in 2014 are too new to have any significant collectible value. That's where the story takes an even more thrilling turn. Numismatic value is rarely about age alone. It's about rarity, errors, and the stories coins tell. The 2014 Lincoln cent proves that even in the era of mass production, errors slip through, errors that can redefine the fortunes of the person who discovers them. So while millions of coins clink in jars across America, a few of them are quietly waiting to become the next multi-million-dollar sensation. It's simple, and yet not simple at all. You must pay attention, know what to look for, and examine every coin with care. Look for signs of doubling on the date, check the lettering for subtle distortions, inspect the coin for fine cracks, and never underestimate the power of a keen eye. One careful glance could change everything. One coin could transform your perspective on worthless change forever. And that, perhaps, is the most inspiring part of the 2014 Lincoln cent story. It's a reminder that opportunity is everywhere. Wealth is sometimes hiding in plain sight. The ordinary can become extraordinary. And history is not just in books, it's in your hands, in your pocket, in your loose change. That penny you toss into the jar at the end of the day might not just be copper, it might be a gateway to unimaginable fortune. A story waiting to be written, a treasure waiting to be claimed. In the end, the 2014 Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. It's a lesson in patience, observation, and the thrill of discovery. It's proof that sometimes the universe hides its most valuable treasures where we least expect them, right under our noses. And when that coin finds its rightful owner, when it goes from unnoticed to headline making, the world takes notice. The coin transforms, the collector transforms, and the dream of finding rare wealth becomes reality. But today, we're diving deep into one of the most shocking and little-known treasures of modern American coinage, the 2002 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent. This isn't just a story about a penny. It's a story about opportunity, mystery, and the chance that fortune could be hiding in your pocket change. At first glance, the 2002 penny looks like any other Lincoln cent, coppery, worn, with Abraham Lincoln's profile staring quietly into eternity. But the devil, and the fortune, is in the details. Unlike other pennies struck in Philadelphia, the 2002 no-mint Mark coins sometimes carry hidden errors so rare that collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for them. And when I say astronomical, I mean we're talking up to $2.4 million for a single coin in top condition. Yes, you heard that right. $2.4 million for a coin you could have found on the sidewalk yesterday. What hidden secret does it carry that turns something most of us see as disposable into a potential life-changing treasure? To understand, we need to explore the errors that make the 2002 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent so valuable. First, there are the die errors. During the minting process, a coin die, the engraved stamp used to strike the coin, can suffer damage, misalignment, or contamination. These imperfections are typically considered mistakes, but in the world of coin collecting, they can turn an ordinary penny into a rare masterpiece. Some 2002 no-mint Mark pennies exhibit double die-averse errors, where the inscriptions, Liberty, or In God We Trust, appear slightly doubled. Others have off-center strikes, where part of Lincoln's profile is cropped or misaligned. And some even show what collectors call clipped planchets, where the coin's metal blank was accidentally cut unevenly before being struck. Each of these anomalies is a fingerprint of rarity. The more noticeable the error, the more desperate collectors become. And unlike mass-produced errors in the 1980s or 1990s, the 2002 no-mint Mark varieties are exceptionally scarce. According to recent market reports, only a handful of top-grade examples exist. That scarcity drives prices into the stratosphere. One coin, graded in perfect mint state, recently sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $2.4 million. That's more than most people make in a lifetime, for a coin smaller than a paperclip. You might already own one of these coins. How many times have you absent-mindedly handed a penny to a cashier, or left a handful of change on your desk, thinking it was worthless? What if, just this once, you had a coin in your pocket that could completely change your life? Wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to check carefully each and every 2002 penny in your possession? The suspense doesn't end there. Some experts believe that more unrecognized examples of these rare coins are still circulating in the general public's hands. Imagine that, a fortune literally hiding in everyday wallets, jars, and drawers. There's a reason professional coin graders and investors constantly emphasize vigilance. You can't rely on luck alone. You need to know what to look for. It starts with careful observation. First, check the mint mark, or the absence of one. The key is that these pennies were minted in Philadelphia, and unlike other coins, they carry no P mint mark. Then, examine the coin for any irregularities in the lettering. Are there signs of doubling on Liberty, or In God We Trust? Is Lincoln's profile misaligned, stretched, or slightly off-center? Next, check the edges. Is the coin unusually thick, thin, or clipped? Even minor anomalies can signify that your penny is one of the extremely rare errors collectors are hunting. But identification is only part of the story. Condition is critical. A penny might have a rare error, but its value skyrockets when it's in pristine condition, a coin that looks as though it just came out of the mint. This is where grading companies like PCGS or NGC come into play. They evaluate coins based on luster, strike, and surface quality, assigning grades that can literally make the difference between a few $1,000s and millions. In the case of the 2002 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, coins that receive a perfect mint state 70 rating are the ones commanding the highest prices. Now, let's talk about the market itself. You might think that only wealthy collectors or institutions have access to coins like this. But the reality is more thrilling. The market for rare modern pennies has exploded in recent years. Social media, online auctions, and coin investment groups have fueled the frenzy, turning coins that once sat unnoticed in jars into prized assets. Stories abound of ordinary Americans finding 2002 pennies in circulation, submitting them for grading, and walking away with fortunes they never imagined. One retiree, for instance, discovered a single coin in her change while paying for groceries. After authentication, it sold for a staggering $1.8 million. Another story tells of a coin found under a floorboard during a home renovation, which ultimately sold for $2.2 million. These aren't just numbers. They are life-changing events, moments when ordinary people stumbled upon extraordinary wealth. And here's a secret many collectors don't tell: these coins are still out there. Millions of pennies were minted in 2002, and while only a fraction carry the rare errors, even one discovery could make headlines. That's the thrill, the adrenaline, the heart-pounding possibility of holding the next $1 million penny in your hand. But time is of the essence. Every day, more coins are lost, spent, or hidden away. The opportunity won't last forever. First, start sorting through your pennies. Check rolls, jars, and drawers. Don't overlook coins that look ordinary. The 2002 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent could be hiding in plain sight. Use a magnifying glass to examine the details. Look for doubled lettering, misaligned features, and unusual edges. If you suspect a rare error, don't spend it. Have it authenticated and graded by a reputable service. Remember, one small decision, checking a coin, sending it for grading, could turn a simple penny into a life-altering windfall. But beyond the thrill and potential wealth, there's something even more compelling about coins like this. They are tiny fragments of history, snapshots of a moment in time, encapsulated in copper and zinc. Each error tells a story: a die struck slightly off-center, a planchet clipped by chance, a coin forgotten and then rediscovered decades later. When you hold a rare penny in your hand, you're touching something unique, something that connects you to a larger narrative of chance, skill, and value. And for the lucky few who find the rare 2002 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, that story becomes personal, a story of discovery, fortune, and possibility. You're at home, perhaps just cleaning out a drawer. You pick up a handful of change, and there it is, the glint of copper that catches your eye. You notice something strange about the lettering. Could it be? You carefully examine it, magnifying glass in hand. Your heart races. You check again. Yes. This could be the coin collectors have been searching for. This could be the $1 million penny. The adrenaline, the anticipation, the thrill of discovery, it's intoxicating. And it all began with something as simple as looking a little closer at the change in your own home. And here's the final revelation: it's not just about luck. It's about awareness, curiosity, and action. Millions of Americans pass pennies by every day, but only a few notice the tiny details that make a world of difference. Today, the 2002 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent represents one of the most accessible yet elusive treasures in coin collecting. A coin so small, so ordinary, yet capable of changing lives forever. So, as you think about the coins in your pocket, your jar, or your desk drawer, ask yourself this: could one of them be the next 2002 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent to sell for millions? Could you be the next ordinary person to stumble upon an extraordinary fortune? The answer could be closer than you think. Every coin has a story. Some stories remain untold, lost to time. But others are waiting for someone like you to uncover them. All it takes is curiosity, diligence, and the willingness to look a little closer. In the end, the 2002 no mint mark Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. A reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary things are hidden in plain sight. That fortune, adventure, and discovery can come from the simplest places. And that maybe, just maybe, your next life-changing treasure is sitting in the palm of your hand, waiting for you to notice.